But like I said, the customer satisfaction was like almost zero. Every day the customer would call very upset. How come there wasn't 10,000 on the truck? Because they subsequently had to supply their customers, and we had our back against the wall for at least 6 to 8 months.
I recently had the privilege of interviewing Scott Poenitzsch. He's a former colleague of mine who has enjoyed many successes during his vast career in business. I asked him if I could share our interview with all of you, and he graciously agreed. I'm going to post different portions of my discussion with Scott in a series that you can watch, one post at a time. Here's the first one. Enjoy it.
So I have a suspicion my next question may be related to that, but I'll leave it open. So what was the most challenging thing you've had to deal with in your career?
Most challenging. I would say the next business that I worked at was a company called Trienda. And like I mentioned, they were the largest thermoforming company in the United States, and they made plastic pallets. When I joined the company, they had bought two very large thermoforming machines that could produce 3 pallets about every 90 seconds. But they were not running quite well. They had struggled for about 8 months to install them, and the intent was is to load plastic sheet on one end. It would thermoform the pallet would come out, hand off to a robot. The robot would do all the finishing and then stack it. Well, that company made the leap to go to full automation, having no background in automation. And I think they missed a couple of gaps along the way for getting the tools installed for full out automated operation, to get the robots coordinated. And when I walked in there, they were struggling to meet customer demand. Customer demand, like I said, was around 10,000 a day, and they were struggling to get 2,000 and 3,000 pallets a day out. So every day they got further in arrears. So I had to sit down and kind of sort through, what did you guys buy? Who were the main players in the integration? And finally, I just brought everybody that supplied the plastic to the tools to the integrator, the robots. We all sat in a room and said, what happened here? So from that moment forward, we all kind of got a good idea of what the vision was, and we started chiseling away at all the problems. And probably took me 6 to 8 months to get the thing running. But I got to tell you, after about, like I said, 8 months to a year, both large thermoformings were running in a fully automated mode, and it was pretty cool to see it running.
And so I guess it sounds like it was you, by doing all that, you were able to make them more profitable if they weren't profitable before.
Yes.
Or
Yes. Well, they were a profitable business, but like I said, the customer satisfaction was like almost zero. Every day the customer would call very upset. How come there wasn't 10,000 on the truck? Because they subsequently had to supply their customers, and we had our back against the wall for at least 6 to 8 months till we got it all sorted out. And so then with the machines running properly, we had quite a bit of reserve capacity, so the 10,000 pallets a day became no issue to produce.
Okay. Great. Well, it sounds like you turned it into a success. The challenge that was thrown at you.
It was overwhelming to begin with, too.
Yeah.
And the problems were not consistent. They moved all through the process. Again, when you get into an automated mode, you got to make sure that your variability is minimized. Plastic sheet would come in with a little variation in thickness, a little variation in temperature, and all of that screws up a fully automated process if it doesn't have the ability to adjust on the fly. And that's what was happening.